Welcome, guys, back to another episode here on Anxiety Doesn't Own Me podcast. My name is Emmanuel Isaacson, and I'm an anxiety coach who helps people to overcome their anxiety naturally. And guys, today I am really excited about this episode because this is something that has helped me tremendously in, number one, taking off pressure off myself, and also to look at things in a different way. Because whenever I grew up the way I grew up, and I'm not blaming my parents or anything like that, it's just the way they grew up, it was a very negative way and a very negative mindset, and to be very fearful about everything, and that everything, it was a lot of complaining and a lot of like negativity. And there was never that, me personally, I never knew what it felt like to think positively. I never understood that, to look at it in a different way. And I always said to myself that the way I think, that's the truth. If something bad happened, or I saw something something bad was happening, I would think that this is the truth and there's no other way of looking at it. It doesn't matter how, because this is the way it is, and that's it. And I know a lot of people that I deal with and people that I interact with, that they also believe that the negativity is truth. And today I want to show you guys how, number one, to change the negative to a positive, and number two, to show you that negativity isn't truth. Negativity, just because we have a negative thought, and we may not be aware, by the way, guys, of the negative thought because we're so used to it, and we need to be aware of that. That's step number one. But just to show you guys that negative thought isn't truth. There is no truth to it. It's just that we think and we feel as if it's true because that's what we're used to. Now, before I even understood what positive thinking was, it was introduced to it. Surprisingly, I wasn't really introduced to it back in the day whenever I was younger. And when I was first introduced to it, was because I started to read this book. It was about anger, because I used to have a lot of anger. I used to be a very angry person. And I worked on my anger. I worked on it. I read this book. It was like 300 and something pages from this psychologist. I forgot his name because it was years ago. But this book, basically, I think it's called Anger. And this book basically was the first time that I was introduced in how to change my thought process and how to look at situations in a different way. And I remember whenever I was growing up, everybody told me, like, you're a very angry person. You're just very angry. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, what do you know what you're talking about? I'm just, because I feel like something's not right, I would feel this way, I try to justify my anger, and I wasn't aware that I was angry. But I finally came to the conclusion that, hey, you know what? I do have anger. I do feel angry. And people are right about it. So I started to read a book and I started to improve myself. And that was the first time ever whenever I started to change my perspective from a negative to more of a positive. And what's crazy is that my entire emotional state changed. My anger completely diminished because of the way I looked at the situation. So it showed me like, hey, anger, right, or negative thinking that we have, it doesn't have to do with one another. Yes, they're connected, and negative thinking cause you to be angry, of course. But the truth is that negative thoughts and the way we see it doesn't mean that it's actually true. It has no basis of the truth. And people believe about them, let's say with negative things about themselves. Like, hey, I'm not capable enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not, whatever negative thought that you have about yourself, it doesn't mean that it's true. It's just something that you have been told over and over again by others and yourself, and that's what you're used to, and that's what you're used to hearing. But guys, that isn't truth, and I'll show you how, and I'll prove it to you how that's not true. Take a glass of water, right? We're going to look at the cup of water. Some people are going to say that it's half empty. So we're going to take an example over here of a glass with water in it. It's not going to be a full cup, all right? It's going to be a half cup, half full. In that cup, some people are going to say that it's half empty, and some people are going to say, no, it's half full. But the truth is, the reality is, the cup just has water in it. It's our choice of how we choose, right? Choose our choice. How we choose to see what the cup is. It's half full or half empty. But the truth is, the reality is that the cup just has water in it. So what we need to do with ourselves, like people that we struggle with anxiety, right? While we feel anxious about a situation or even panic attacks or whatever it is, that we believe that those situations are dangerous. We believe something bad is going to happen. A negative thought about ourselves or about the situation, whatever it is, that's what's going to happen. And that's the reality. But the truth is that there can be another side to it, right? There can be another side. The other side is that nothing bad is going to happen and you're going to be fine. You're not going to experience a panic attack, or that you're not dying, or that you actually are healthy, right? We can actually look at it in both ways. Now, the reality is that we are just going to that area, and that area, things are just happening over there. Now, we can interpret that place, that situation, whatever it is that triggers our anxiety in a negative way as it's a dangerous place. But if we change that place and say, you know what, that place is actually a safe place, we change the narrative, we'll feel much calmer. First things first is that we need to look at the reality, the truth of it. Because the truth is that just because we had a panic attack before, and just because we had an anxiety attack before, just because, we read something on Google about our health or whatever it is, doesn't mean it's actually true. Or people with social anxiety and they're talking to somebody and they're thinking automatically these people are judging me in a negative way. They definitely think I'm boring or I'm stupid or I'm not interesting or whatever it is that they think about right away to the negative. No, but what we need to do is stop that and say, wait, who says that's true? Where is the evidence for that? Just because somebody else told you those things doesn't mean it's actually true. Just because it happened to you in the past before doesn't mean it's going to happen. Just because it happened to somebody else doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. There is no connection whatsoever. It's just that that's something we're used to. Our neurons in our head, in our mind, is used to that. And that's the pattern that we have created. So now what we need to do is, wait. Let's look at the reality. The reality is, hey, I'm just talking to somebody. That's the truth. We are just talking. That person is talking to me. That is reality, just like the cup of water. The cup of water just has water in there, right? That's what it has in there. We choose how to look at it. That's the second step. Okay, you know what? Let's change the reality over here and say to ourselves, hey, this person that's in front of me right now is actually saying positive things and thinking positive things about me. Or we can say about the situation that we go to, right, that triggers our anxiety, or that we're nervous that something bad is going to happen. Say to ourselves, like, but what if something good is going to happen? Let's think about that. What good things can actually happen if we go there and we actually do things? We can write it down. We can figure it out. Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun. Oh, it's going to be a great time. Or we know when you want to go out with your kids and you're afraid because of you have a panic attack or something bad is going to happen. But wait, who said that's going to happen? We're already predetermining our future. But the future can be different. So we want to look at it in a more positive way. No, we're just going that place, wherever we're going, whatever it is. That's the place that we are going. Things are just happening over there. Now we can build in and we can put in our interpretation and say, you know what? Good things are going to happen over there. That's what it is. Or with our health anxiety that we're nervous about our health. Oh my God, I might have, some underlying health issues. But wait. Just because my heart has heart palpitation doesn't mean that there's something wrong with my heart. It just means that my heart is I just have heart palpitations. Now we can look at it in a positive way and change the narrative in that and say to ourselves, heart palpitations aren't dangerous. I already went to the doctor, right? And everything was fine. And my heart is pretty strong. And it's just showing me that I have anxiety. And again, we can add in our own positive things. It does take time. Not everything is just going to pop into our head. We can think about the positive things about heart palpitations or whatever, when we have a headache, right? A lot of people were afraid, we're nervous about having a headache. So we right away think about oh my God, I have a tumor or I'm going to have a brain aneurysm. Right away, we think about the negative. But we can just think, you know what? Maybe I just didn't drink enough. Or maybe it's just from my anxiety. That's what it's coming from, and it's not dangerous. It's just from the stress that I've been having lately. That's what it is. The thing is that, number one, that, hey, my head is just hurting me. That's the reality of it. That's the reality, right? Now we can interpret it in a negative way or in a positive way. Now, we right away automatically have patterns going to come in a negative way. Boom, we have a brain tumor. Boom, we have a brain aneurysm. Boom, boom, boom. Like all these negative thoughts are going to start popping in. That's number one. That's what's going to happen. And this is how we're going to change number two from a negative to more of a positive thought. So, okay, you know what? That's the first thing that happened. Okay, the reality is that my head is just hurting me. Now, I choose to think differently. I choose to think that, you know what? that it's just because of my anxiety, or maybe I didn't drink enough water, or I was just trying to have a high stress level right now. That's where it's coming from. And what can I do now to help me to not have a headache anymore? So we can think about it differently, and this way we'll be able to reduce our anxiety. And this is where number 2 comes in how we change the negative thought to more of a positive thought. We, number 1, never want to push out the negative thought. We're never going to be able to push out a negative thought. It's automatically going to come up. That's what's the first initial thing. Boom, we're going to have a negative thought. Boom, you're going to have a panic attack if you go to that place. That's what's going to happen. Whoa. Okay, thank you very much for your concern. I appreciate it. We can tell the anxiety. But what if I don't actually have a panic attack? Who says that I am going to have a panic attack? It's a safe place over there. It's a beautiful place over there. It's a calming place over there. Whatever it is, we're going to add, right? We're going to change from the negative to the positive, but we're still going to acknowledge, number 1, this is step number 2, by the way, guys. Number 1, we're going to acknowledge that we have a negative thought. We're not going to push it out, because the more we push it out, the stronger the negative thought comes in. We want to say, you know what? Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate you, but, and then instill the positive. So if we have a headache, right, number 1, that we don't want to push out and say, why am I thinking this way? Why am I always going to this thought that I have a brain tumor? Or why do I always think that I have a brain aneurysm? For what reason? What does it help me? Stop thinking this way. No. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is say, okay, you know what? I'm thinking this way. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it that you're having this thought. That's what we want to tell ourselves, or however you want to tell yourself it. We're going to look at the reality. Hey, you know what? The truth is that I just have a headache. That's the truth. My head just hurts. That's the reality. And then we can instill the positive and tell to ourselves that it's just because maybe I'm just have a high level of anxiety, or just because I didn't drink enough, or maybe that I just have a high level of stress. Whatever it is, we want to minimize it, and that'll help us to calm down. We want to bring in that positive thing. We want to bring in that positive thought. We can also say as well, whenever we do have a headache, is like, you know what? My nerves are actually working. So that's a good thing. It's showing that I have pain over there. So that's a positive thing. It's showing me that I need to change something. So that's a good thing. We never want to push out the negative. So to conclude over here is that, and I know I gave you guys a lot of information over here, and to get it's kind of a different way of approaching how to think more positively, because we're not pushing out the negative and not putting a lot of pressure on us. You see, that's the thing, key. Not putting pressure on ourselves so that we can actually heal ourselves, because that's what we need at the end of the day. Positive thinking, yeah, it's great, but if we don't do it the right way, it can really affect us, right? So to conclude over here is that what we want to do is step number 1 is look at the actual reality of the situation. We're going to look at the actual reality and say, you know what? The reality is that there is a cup with water in it. Now, step number 2 is that we're not going to push out the negative thought. We're going to acknowledge it, and then we're going to change it to more of a positive thought. You understand? We're going to change it to a more positive thought and challenge it. This is something that I used to do with my obsessive thoughts. I used to have very negative obsessive thoughts, or even with my intrusive thoughts. Like, when people have intrusive thoughts, we don't want to have these thoughts. Like, every time I would be in front of a person, I would want to hit them for no reason. It would have an urge. I would have these images. I would have these thoughts. And what I started to do is that I stopped to not want these thoughts, and I started to change these thoughts and say to myself, is that number 1, I'm just talking to this person. That's the first thing. Number 2 is that, okay, you know what? I have this urge and I have this thought. Thank you very much. But what I want to do instead is, instead of hitting this person, I want to hug this person. That's what I want to do. And that changed my entire way of how I dealt with my intrusive thoughts, and that helped me to calm down tremendously. If you are looking for a natural remedy in order to help you to deal with your anxiety and help you on your journey to overcome it, I created Calmly CBD, where it specifically helps you to calm down your anxiety and panic attacks. And as well, it doesn't make you feel drowsy. It doesn't make you feel sleepy. And it helps you to just feel calm so you can actually do things throughout the day, like work, drive, go out, and do whatever you like in a more calmer state of mind, as well as not addictive or any has any side effects or any withdrawals, which this way can actually help you to heal your anxiety and get you to the destination in overcoming your anxiety much quicker. You can click the link that's in the description. It would say Calmly CBD to place your order today. And then right now it's on sale for a limited time where you can buy one and get the second one free. If you did like this episode, please click the like button and leave a 5-star review. The reason why I ask is because this way we're able to reach more people, and the more people that we can actually reach, the more people that we can actually help. Because my mission in this world, my purpose is to help people to overcome and heal their anxiety naturally and show them that it's possible to overcome. Thank you guys. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.